Amazing afternoon. This is bitbudha back again with another episode of the Blacks and Cybersecurity Podcast. And today we have Levone Campbell, who has over 20 years in the InfoSec and cyberspace. So he's been here for a while. And he's also a CISO as well. And he's also a part of Blacks and Cyber. So we wanted to get him on to share a bit of his experience. And I'll let him introduce himself as well.
Good afternoon. My name is Levone Campbell. As you mentioned, I have over 20 years of experience in this industry. Um, I've been in this for a while. I've seen done it all, operating in every space with threat intelligence, cyber ops, GRC, every aspect of it. I've been with BICS as assistants. I
Wow.
can remember going to DEF CON maybe 17 years ago, and just having that feeling of feeling kind of alone out there. And luckily, I had mentors that would go with me. But I mean, the day I walked into the big village, I fell in love because it represented a space that we had for ourselves. I remember back in the day, we really didn't have anywhere we can go sit down and talk to people that look like us. And to me, it changed. It changed my perspective, and I dedicated myself to the organization after that day. There's other reasons
Wow.
why I did it as well. A funny story is that when I walked into that village, it was the first big village ever, and they were starting out their talks. And the first talk was about to get canceled because the speaker couldn't make it. And I met Michaela, and I found out who the speaker was one of my mentors back in Houston. And I was like, hey,
Mhm.
I'll do it for him. And I sat
Wow.
down with my laptop and I put a speech together in 15 minutes, and I became Big's first official ever speaker. Uh,
Wow. That's good.
so, from that day forth, I always made sure that I was going to speak in the big village, and I'm always the first batter off. So,
Wow, well, that I definitely got to ask you a lot more about that story. But first of all, what got you into tech and cyber in general? Like, what was the first initial spark?
I've always had an interest in computers. Um, but crazy story is like going through college, my mindset was I'm going to be in marketing. I'm going to be on Madison Avenue creating ads. And I always had a creative mind. And then I think in college, I started, messing around with computers and get a little further into it. And I shifted after I graduated into, software development, which is kind of weird. And from there, I kind of just kept growing and growing. And I ended up with this company called Saudi Aramco. I was a network work administrator because I was self-taught in most of this stuff. Working on, network administrator, and all of a sudden, I was there when the bomb dropped. I don't know if you guys remember Shamoon, but it's a case study in malware. Shamoon was this big attack that knocked out 30,000 workstations in one night. And at
Mm,
that point, Saudi Aramco was like never again type approach. So they took a
mm,
group of us, some of us they sent to Saudi, and they trained us up for like a year straight.
wow,
Um, and I got some of the best training in reverse engineering, hacking, everything. And that kind
wow,
of elevated me to where I am today. And from there, I just kind of started running the operations from different places. So that's my background.
wow. That's big because I watched the documentary on that, I believe. So how did it? Once you guys realized the network was down, how did it feel? How did that feel when you first realized it?
Man, let me tell you, I still remember to this day getting that phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning. My boss on the other end is like, get to the office right now. So we walked into we all walked to this huge conference room, and they had this one computer left that hadn't been turned on. They turned it on and they released Shamoon on it. And you could it was kind of pretty much just like a burner. You could see the American flag catch on fire, and the machine it just was gone, wiped out.
Wow.
And they were like, this is what we're up against. And they say, in the past, 8 hours, we've lost the X amount of machines here in Saudi. So it was crazy. And they shut everything down. And I
Mm,
mean, they shut down the internet, email. I mean, we went back to the Stone Ages. Like we
wow.
passing messages on paper and stuff. Yeah, picking the phone up to make orders and stuff. It was insane. But I remember distinctly they pretty much burned everything to the ground and built it back up because that's how
Wow.
bad it was. Yeah, and I mean we
That's
were down for like months.
hmm, I
Yeah.
can't imagine that. But it's beautiful that they trained you to such depth like afterwards, right? So like in that year training, like what was probably the most interesting thing you learned? Because you said that you were learning like a lot of different stuff. So in that year span where they were like drilling you, what was probably the most fun or the most interesting thing?
For me, it was working with the cyber ops professionals. What fun was they brought in some real good hackers, like known hackers, but they couldn't do it in the U.S. So when they sent us to Saudi, we would sit down and go over stuff with them guys.
Yeah.
But what it made me was ice cold for incident response.
Mm.
It made me thorough for what I did, because they taught me the things to look for, and how to cut through the logs and see things that most people won't see, and it made me
Mm.
real good at it. And that's kind of how I curved my niche. Incident
Mm.
response is my thing. I became actually after that I became the incident response lead for the company. So if things went down, it's on. That was my thing. Let's go. Um, and it made me a true professional too. To come from
Mm.
that situation to see a company get burned down, get built back up, and now it's like we're fighting now. And that's kind of the
Wow.
approach I took when I do incident response. So even when I'm doing cyber ops, when I'm training guys, something like, hey, we're in this fight together. That's what I tell them. It's a fight. And I want to have that same mentality, because if you're not thinking in that way, you're not really taking, cyber ops, or blue teaming serious. So
Mm.
that's my approach.
Wow. You know what's crazy? Because the more intense what they say? They say the warrior who sweats the most during training bleeds the least toward in war, right? And I feel like once you have like really good training, it's probably like the best thing that you could get. And yeah, I also see the DEFCON flag in like the back, and I know like DEFCON just happened a couple weeks ago. So I would love to hear your like overview or like update or like what you thought, like how it was, just like how was the whole like conference in general.
I had a different experience this year with DevCon, because this year I brought my son. Uh,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I brought my son with me. You guys saw him; he was sitting at the end table. He was doing the next gen and everything. But for me, I wanted him to experience the world that I experienced every summer. This cool place Daddy gets on his plane to go to for a week, and I would come back and tell him. I would bring him stickers. I would lace his laptop out. I would give him some of my badges and everything. It's cool to give him that stuff, but I want him to see it, experience.
Yeah.
Um, but funny story is the reason I actually took him is because my son he took comp sci this year.
Mm.
So I was in my bedroom. I was working on something. He came and asked me, "Hey, Dad, can I hold one of your Macs?" I reached over and gave it to him. I'm still working. Stopped for a second. Got up and I went to the kitchen where he was at. Looked around the corner at him. This dude's trying to hack a website. Like, so I'm like, all right, cool. I was like, you know what? You're doing it naked. you just, it's time for you to go. So yeah, it was that point. So that's why I brought him.
Well, yeah, it's better to put him on the right path because of course he has like a skill and a passion for it clearly, but at least like guide him in the right
Yeah,
the right
yeah.
direction.
So yeah, that's I was like, it's all right, Padawan, it's time to go. It's time to go.
Yeah, no, that is well. But no, I saw the pictures and it looked like amazing. So like big, right? You said that you were pretty much there since. No, first let's back up before that. What was your first DEF CON, right? And what would you say was the difference between it like that DEF CON and like now, like that timeline? What is the difference in like how the conference has changed?
Whew, man, DEF CON has grown by leaps and bounds. I can remember back when it was at the Rio, even before that. Just the structure, the organization of it. Like, I can use some more funny story. Like, I could literally remember like when there would be some like real cool talks, like dudes that did some cool hacks and stuff, and they would literally have one foot on the stage, one foot off, and the back door would be open, and they were giving their talks, just in case the feds ran in. Like, I mean, it was just like those kind of talks. Like, it was just that experience, man. Like, they meant it when they went Wall of Sheep. Like, they were really breaking into stuff. I remember they were taking down the POS systems at the hotel. I can
Um,
oh God, it was fun. It was just a great time. I can remember like walking into a talk, and you see a guy slumped over the podium, right? Because he had a great night the night before. So it's going to be a fire talk or it's going to get canceled. One of the two. So it's just those type of experiences, man. Where it was a great community of people where they were doing the opposite of what Black Hat was, right? Because I would do
Mm,
Black Hat the first of the week, which was just a corporate event, which I don't go to Black Hat anymore. And then DEF CON was like the dessert, because it was like the real. You go to Black Hat for the corporate, you go to DEF CON for the real. So that's kind of my experiences over the years.
got it. And yeah, I was okay because I watched like documentaries and I heard like because you have crazy stories and I've heard like even more crazy stories. So it's like
Oh,
everyone has a crazy
I
story
got
from.
more. It gets wild. I mean, DEF CON, man, it was just a different level, man. It was pretty cool. Um,
Yeah.
for me, it was like you walk into a talk at Black Hat, you got a surface level talk. Well, not even this year. You get, corporate talks and vendor talks, and it's like, whatever. I know that. Give me the gritty. You know what I'm saying? Give me the stuff that somebody's afraid to talk about. You know,
Mm,
because it's a couple feds in the back room. It's just that kind of stuff.
right. Right.
I think that's what really set DEF CON off. It really set it by the side versus other security conferences you go to. You're getting that real stuff, and you're dealing with them
Yeah.
real people.
Yeah.
I've met some really cool people over the years. I ran into Jeff several times. Man, Barnaby Jones. Man, I mean, it's just some real cool people, man.
Mm. Yeah, I'm definitely like I gotta go like next year because I've been eyeing it for like years, but like next year, like I gotta go definitely. And so when Big came on the scene, right? Like, what was you said that you did like the first big, you were the first big speaker, which is like huge, right? But like, how did that change things, or how do things feel now that like Big is now there?
Man, Vic has earned his name on the stage. Vic
Mm,
has earned his position at DEF CON. When
mm,
I the first time I ever walked to the big village, I remember they had this small little room off in the corner, and I walked in there. And to me, it felt like home. Um,
mm,
and at the time, it was like, this is something special. This
mm,
is something special because I've met and built relationships with people over the years from Big. That
mm,
today they're close to me forever. Um,
mm,
but at the same time, it gave me, that that feeling that I wasn't alone in this industry.
mm,
Over the years, like so, you can walk through all these conferences, and there's not too many people that look like us, and you can get like you feel alone, and you start to feel that imposter syndrome. Like, do I belong here? And
mm,
to be in an environment where it's open arms and people who care about you and people that really want to teach you, help you grow, it's phenomenal, man. And that's why I
wow.
feel like I'm always going to be a part of it. I'm always going to be there to, offer that advice to new upcomers. People that got
Mm,
questions. You know, Case in point this year, like to give you an example of how we've grown, we had the opportunity to bring students in to do talk.
mm,
So I had two students on stage this year because I'm responsible for like the HBCUs and a lot of
mm,
students. I had two that came in, Karen, and she did a great job. She's from ODU, and man, it's just to see the next generation coming up, right? And doing their talks, and I've been speaking on the stage with Big for 5 years, and not just that, I've spoken on major stages across the world on and doing talks, but
mm.
it's something special about coming back to Big and doing a talk in the village. So
Man, you make me so proud to like be here, bro. You make me so proud to be here. No, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. And I see like a stack of like degrees and, and certifications in the back. So what are those degrees in? I'm like assuming like the tech and cyber. And so how have what do you how valuable has school and then like higher education been in your like tech and cyber journey?
tech and my continuous education has always been a priority for me, always. You're looking at a lot of degrees on the back. Two of them, my wives, but the other four are mine. So it's six of them back there. As I mentioned before, my goal when I came out of college was to be on Madison Avenue. So I have one marketing degree, management degree, and my
Wow.
MBA, and
Wow.
but I have a gauntlet of certifications, from CSSP all the way down. but I've always been dug in on improving myself, learning more. Um, I guess it was more that I gotta show the world who I really am. My last master's degree I got from Georgetown University, and I got that in cybersecurity. And I was at a pivotal point in my career because I was trying to decide: do I want to stay in cybersecurity, or do I want to go to law school? And I had a work mentor at the time, and he was the company attorney at Saudi Aramco, and he was a Georgetown alumni. And at the time, I was still trying. I applied for law school, got in a couple of them, and he was like, is that what you really want to do? He's like, you really set yourself in cybersecurity. And all right, so I started looking at schools, and I noticed Georgetown had this program, and it had a cybersecurity program. I applied, I got in, and from that point, when you're talking about your network exploding, yeah, that was a great experience going to Georgetown. So, but yeah, I've always, even early on in my career, man, I knew I had a path, and I knew I had to get these certain certifications. And when I dug in, I dug in. Like I would go weeks without sleeping just to study for exams. I was that dedicated. That was that. I mean, it set a course for me to where I am now. And I tell a lot of the young people that I mentor is that you want to set yourself up to where you'll never want a job again or need a job. You don't have to go look for a job. They'll come look for you. So when people either see my resume or they see my LinkedIn profile, they're going to ask about me. They're going to ask about me. Are you looking? Are you interested? And it's like that's where you want to be. You know, even right now with all this crazy tech layoff and stuff, I'm still in a good position. Because I've carved myself into the AI space now, and it's like I've made a name for myself in AI, and I do a lot of talks with AI, and it's like now he's over here, so he's like I'm not stationary.
Right.
It now represents me not being stationary. I'm constantly evolving. Even at my age, I'm still evolving. So.
Wow. And that's one thing I love about like all tech people. It's like it doesn't stop. Like the certifications don't stop, the learning doesn't stop, the like degrees don't stop. It's like a keep on like, and that's one thing that always drew me towards the tech space, especially cyber. It's like constant learning. It's like you have to be a person who likes learning to even be in this space. Because if not, you would just kind of like the things move so fast that it kind of like it would like push you aside. But that's like amazing. And to go back deeper to the certifications, so you said you have your CISSP, and like what other ones would you say? So a two-pronged question, right? What certifications would you say are most valuable in your path, and what certifications would you recommend for someone starting?
Well, it depends on which avenue you want to go into. So anybody that wants to do instant response, I always tell them, go with your SEC Plus first. Then you go into CYSA. And then, if you got time, do the CEH. And if you got the bread, I understand that, SANS has gotten very expensive, but the most pivotal one for me was GCIH. And I was lucky. I had the opportunity to have John Strand as my trainer for the GCIH for SANS. And I don't know if you know John Strand from Black Hills, Black Mountain, but this guy is just a giant in the workspace of incident response and just cybersecurity. But to be able to sit in that room and watch this man go through things and teach me things, he kind of like just made my head explode to see like the opportunities to come. And from then I just kept growing. I kept, and I was fortunate to work for a company that had a big bankroll for training. So I just ran through the SANS trainings, from network forensics to host forensics, teamless monitoring to just whatever I wanted. So I was fortunate to have the opportunity. Some people don't, but if you don't have the opportunity, there are other paths that you can go. And like I said, just the OSCP, those type of ones you can take at home. I would dig into them, and then at the same time, it's so much information out here you can learn on your own. God, YouTube has a lot of stuff for free.
True.
And then I have a home lab. I build my own home lab. You can build your own home lab. Do it at home, but never stop learning. So,
got it. Yeah, and like it's cool because it's like it's a whole like collage, and like it is really like based upon like where you want to go. But like yeah, the Sec Plus is like the first one that like everyone definitely always recommends, and the Sans ones, um, I want to see. I think I'll be able to get the Sans ones in the future, but it kind of depends on like my like company or who I'm with. Because paying
Yeah.
for that out of pop pocket is like if you're balling, if you're balling like that. But yeah, like ideally the company would pay for it. And so outside of tech and cyber, what do you like to do on your free time, or what do you like to do for fun?
Whew. I had hobbies till I had kids. um, right now, man, I'm dedicated to my kids. They're getting older. Their activities are getting more robust. Case in point, before I came to DEF CON, my daughter this summer went and won a national championship in cheer. So I'm a cheerleader.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. So we took her to cheer. She went to Indianapolis. They won that title. She came
wow,
home 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, she's in the pool swimming for divisionals right now. That type thing. Uh,
wow.
Son, he's active in mixed martial arts. So I was his first trainer. I trained for
Mm,
9 years in mixed martial arts. But
mm,
now, he's doing his own thing. He's growing in that sport, and he's always wanting to train. And come here, Dad, let me show you something. It's that type of stuff. Just constantly, I'm raising kids now. That's my
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
So um, I would say I have a lot of interest, but I'd be lying. So my
yeah.
thing is my kids right now.
No, that is beautiful. Like it's beautiful to see like parents who are actively like because I wish all parents were like that, but not all parents are like that. So it's beautiful to see a parents who like actively like engage and like pushing their child to like do like things that are like cool and like interesting to like them. That's like beautiful, honestly.
It is. And be honest, man, my kids, like, case in point, my son's a prodigy.
Mm,
Um, he came out the womb ready to read, learning, doing math and everything. So, of course, we just pushed him along, pushed him up during
yeah.
school. And this kid's 12 years old in eighth grade right now. Going to high
Mm,
school next year. Taking advanced mathematics. And for
wow.
me, I had to take a step back from my career and say, you know what, I have to be there for the nurturing and maturity aspect of my son. Because when I was working for Saudi Aramco, doing as their incident lead, if something popped off in the Hague, I had to go. If something was going down at Tokyo, I had to go. And
Mm,
at the time, it was like, this is just too much. And then my kids, hey, my son's about to go to school. He's going to school early. I need to
mm,
be home for that. So
yeah.
I took a step back, and I just wanted to be home for them. And then lo and
Mm,
behold, and my daughter, she's just my little Dominic dolls in the pool and everything, just
wow.
a true athlete.
Wow.
And I train her too. So it's like, yeah, I made a great decision to kind of step back from all that stuff. So
Mm. No, that is like beautiful, and like you are like you are reaping it because you're seeing them grow, but like as they grow further, you're gonna like even be have more joy from that. So that's like
yeah.
amazing. And so in tech, right? What would you say? I know you were saying like you're into like AI, right?
Hmm.
But in in addition to AI, right? What other things like would you say like are super cool or like interesting to you like right now, like new things?
Man, just the way that the attack has evolved using
Mm,
AI.
mm,
What we used to see and what we used to know is not the same thing anymore. Um, the speed and how thorough it is now. Just a typical web attack that's been orchestrated by AI is so fast and rapid now. It's faster than what we can react to. I
wow.
actually did a panel in the Blue Team Village, and I was talking about this, and I
Mm,
said, guys, we're so behind. If we don't adopt AI as a defense strategy, um, we're dead in the water. Uh,
mm,
actually, that's my talk supposed to be for big this year was using AI to attack AI. It was basically just ramping up our defenses with AI to address the onslaught of attacks that we were seeing now. Um, and I asked people, like, if you looked at your logs lately, do you see how fast they're scanning and then right behind they're exploiting? That's how fast they're
mm,
finding exploits and just hitting the exploits before you can even react to it. Um,
mm,
so
mm,
it just any aspect of cybersecurity, whether it's phishing, vishing, deep fakes, it's changed the game a little bit. Um,
mm,
when I'm talking to managers and stuff from different companies, I'm like, Hey, you want to get your budget approved for more cybersecurity? Create a video of your CEO announce to the company bonuses will be coming out next month of him. Use a deep fake and then show it to him. I said, this is what we're facing right now. I guarantee your budget will get increased. Because that, I mean, I'm being honest. It's like,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's crazy.
because that's the level, of where we are right now. It's insane.
Mm,
And to sit now and see where it used to be to where it is now, and understanding that if we don't evolve, you know, we're dead in the water, man.
mm,
We're already behind. So, and if you had talked to me about 6 months ago, I was against automation, completely against it. And I believed in if you didn't have a clean house, don't even go near automation because you're going to just inundate yourself with false positives and noise. And
mm,
I kind of had to change my view because the insane amount of attacks that we're seeing now is that you have to cut the noise out. You have to cut, the stuff you can out and then focus on the real threats. So I've
mm,
changed my perspective over the years because of that. But
mm.
those kind of things that's really intrigued me over the years now with the growth and just the emergence of AI. So
Yeah, and it's wild because they have like models like attacking other models now. Like it's wild. But in terms of the models, the top biggest four I could think about like is Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, and Grok, right? So what model would you say is like your favorite, and like how would you categorize them? Like what is the feel, or what is like the of each one?
I think to me, I like Perplexity. Yeah,
Mm,
I use Perplexity a lot, and I think it has better language models and it has a greater reach.
mm,
It produces better results. Now, Grok sometimes. Copilot I don't trust. It just and of course you got the ChatGPT, which is cool. But I like Perplexity. I like it.
okay.
I use it, so I think it
Yeah.
produces better results for me.
Right. Yeah, I've heard of that one. I still gotta test it out because there's like always like every other week there's a new model dropping that you gotta test out. It's like
Yeah.
a new car or a new phone dropping like every year pretty much. But no, I definitely gotta check that out. And also earlier you were saying I think you were saying like when you were doing that 1 year intensive training, were they teaching like reverse engineering or like that type of stuff you were saying?
Oh yeah. Oh man. It was a a really great experience for me and the other people that was in that program is that we got to really sit down with people who knew this industry. They knew the different aspects of it. Like I remember I had to work in the SOC when they built the SOC out, and I was on the graveyard shift. But the person I was in the graveyard shift with was a true expert in malware, and she would sit there and she would teach me about the aspects of malware, reverse engineering malware, the components of the build outs, the kind of things. And we would just sit in the middle of the night and just go through this stuff. And I'm just soaking this all in. I'm looking over here, like, if you can see I have stacks of books at my wall.
Um,
And once I got to show you this
mm,
one. Now, this is an old book, but this is like one of the ones that I really, bought and dug into.
mm,
Um, and we went through this book together, man. It's kind of cool. I mean, it's just like learning, digging in deeper,
mm,
understanding what to look for when malware is executed on the box.
mm,
The different folders and stuff that it writes to, the registry keys and types. That kind of stuff is stuck in my mind now.
mm,
So when I hear about new malware, the first thing I want to do is go look at any sample that's out there
right.
to see what's different. If I'm going to write
Mm,
a rule to identify this malware, what's different from what I'm looking for in the past? What's
mm,
changed? What is it doing? It it's a it's that part of the game where it's always evolving, right?
yeah.
And you have to evolve too.
Mm,
Um, and that's kind of what it was, just being able to learn different things and learn about incident response. I think that's how I got ice water in my veins when it became time to address an incident because sitting with these people in these training programs, like they taught me to be cold with it. Like, if something pops off, the first thing you got to do is stop, think, and then react. And then you have a lot of people, and I've seen it over the years when I consult with companies, that if an incident jumps off, people freak out. And then you got all these lanes and theories that are running down roads, and they get lost. You're lost in the sauce. And pretty much your meantime resolution is dead. It's just because you're freaking out. And then at the same time, you have to learn how to deal with management and leadership popping their head to do what's going on. Is everything okay? Where are we at right now? Type thing. You have to be like on point. And that's why I developed that ability to do that. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a super important skill. Like, because if it's just in life in general, like the person who could keep their like composure and cool when everyone else is like losing their mind, that person is gonna like lead like everyone else, right? Because like you have to go to the person who's most like even mind and like meditative. You got to go towards that person because you can't go towards the person who's like screaming and crying and all that stuff. You got to go towards the person who's like grounded. So that's a beautiful skill to have learned. And the malware analyst stuff and the reverse engineering like that's one part of tech that interests me a lot because it deals with like assembly and like the low level stuff. So what would you say in terms of like programming languages or software engineering, what languages would you say you're the most like fluent in?
I would say I'm fluent, but I have learned to be able to use and adapt to Python. A lot of the generic languages now that a lot of these companies use, I've learned to grow and use them, not be strong, but I can use it. I can get in there, I can do my things, and and that's why I always tell people you have to learn these kind of things. You have to even if it scares you to death, you still got to jump in and try it. You have to learn it. A lot of people are just scared to learn just different languages. It's basically like C#. Just simple things like you got to learn this stuff. So
like I'm excited to dive more into that part because on my whole tech journey I haven't really gone super deep into the software engineering side, but I'm seeing that it still is very valuable because majority of the tools we use, a software engineer made it, right?
Yeah.
Majority of the time, so it's like worthwhile to understand how that tool or like operating system or malware like works. So, but that's definitely cool. And so besides DEF CON, the other question I want to ask, you're saying that you don't go to Black Hat anymore. Why is that?
Black Hat has gotten too corporate. Black Hat has gotten to where they prefer to have the vendors come and do the talks, and not the people that's actually in the woods in the field doing the work. It's all about the sponsors now.
Right.
It's kind of like RSA. Great parties are great, but to me, it's like the talks are kind of like watered down. And then it's gotten too expensive. That's one thing about DEF CON. It just it's kept its price point consistent to where people can come.
Right.
And it offers a great product to where Black Hat, the price has gone way up and the product's gotten a little watered down. So it's I don't go anymore. I'd rather go to B-sides.
Understood. Yeah. So would you say out of all of the conferences you've been to, because you said that you've traveled to ones and you've spoken to ones on like other sides of the world as well, right? So how did you get into like speaking, and how has that changed your like career or trajectory?
So I have to give a shout out to my mentor Paul Breaker, rest in peace. He was the reason I was able to speak in conferences. I met Paul at a couple conferences, back in the day, and I saw him speak. And when he got on stage, and I had met Paul before at Black Hats and stuff, and I was like, man, I don't know how you do this, man. I don't know how you do it. He was like, you can do it. I'm looking at him like, no, I can't. Like, yes, you can. So the next year, a conference came out. And I remember him hitting me up, hey, man, I got this panel. I want you to be on with me. Nah, you gonna do it, kind of thing. All right, Paul. So it was an oil and gas, oil and petrol conference in Houston, and I still have this picture today where I'm up there, I'm talking, I'm looking down at Paul, because I remember I was backstage freaking out, like And he walked up to me and looked me in my face and said, "Hey, you know this. Go speak your truth."
Mm.
I looked at him and I was like, "All right, cool." And from that day point, on, I was able to just, get up there and speak my truth. And
Mm.
I've never been scared or afraid in any instance. Speaking in London, speaking, in the Middle East,
Wow.
got up there and I spoke my truth because I know what I'm doing. I know this
Right.
industry. So I
Right.
have something to offer to you of my knowledge base that I'm going to give to you. And that's what it was. That's what it's always been about. Uh,
Mm.
to go back to the story about, being the first big speaker, Paul was
Mm.
supposed to be that speaker that year.
Oh, I see.
Paul was
Wow.
supposed to be a speaker and he couldn't make it. And when I walked to that big village and I met Michaela and we were talking about Paul, it all started about Paul. And I was like, you know what? I'll do it. That's my dude. And that's how I
Wow.
became the first big speaker. So
Wow. You got such like wholesome stories. Like all your stories are so like wholesome. That's amazing though. Like that's beautiful. And um, so how it seems that you've had like a lot of mentorship or like tutors or like guidance in your journey, right? So how important would you say that your mentors were, and how did you even go about like finding or getting these different mentors?
it to me, mentoring has always been important. Um, Working in corporate America, you have to have somebody that one is going to help you in guiding your career, understanding the environment, and just overall growth. My first mentor, um, he was at the conference. He's always at the conference with me. Barris. He was the reason I got into security. Uh,
Mm.
Literally, I was bopping down the hallway, and he was sitting in his office. He called me and said, "Hey, come here." I walked in his office. He's like, "You're gonna be in security next year." I said, "Why?" He's like, "Because that's the future." I'm like, "Okay." He said, "No, no." He said, "I need you to go do X, Y, Z." He was talking about these different certs.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, all right, whatever. I went, got the certs, and the year after that is when the bomb dropped,
Mm.
and that's when they was like, all right, need people with security experience, and luckily, I didn't know he was preparing me for that,
Wow.
and uh, and that's how I got on the security team, and it grew from there. And
Mm.
funny, like after that year later, when he had got me inside and got me developed and everything and trained up, he left me. It went to another company, but he prepared me. He had
Yeah.
prepared me for that time and that opportunity, and I always
Yeah.
owe it to him because he got me into security. And I told you the story about Paul. Paul's always been a great mentor to me, um, just not just in cybersecurity, but just being able to develop and grow as a black man in this industry.
Mm.
He was well respected, especially in OC environments and stuff. Um, well respected, and it was a blessing to see his wife this year too. Kirsten
Mm.
came back to the conference this year, and it was a blessing to see her. But
Mm.
yeah, mentorship is important to me because I go back to going to the DEF CONs and the Black Hats and walking through those halls, and you don't see people that look like you, and
Mm.
you're sitting in these huge conferences and you don't see people on the stage that look like you. Um, and you ask yourself, do I belong here? You know, it just for me it was like a funny story. I I did a talk for Rapid Seven, and I remember going in. I'm sitting in the back, and I did a talk on incident response. I'm sitting in the back, just keeping out the crowd coming in. This big old auditorium coming in, coming. I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like, all right, I'm about to blow their head off. So when they introduced me, and they didn't put my picture up, so I just got up and I just walked down the middle of the aisle to the front, and I could see people just looking, turning their heads, looking, looking. And I remember this one particular black dude saw me, and his eyes got wide, like he going to the stage. And I got on stage, I gave my talk, right? Who the heads off. And the guy came straight up to me afterwards, like, man, and till this day, I still mentor that guy. But it
Wow.
was like, but it set something off in him. Like I got to go meet him. I got to find out how he got here. And
Yeah.
I was open. I'm an open book to anybody. Uh,
Mm.
I've mentored over 500 people in
Wow.
20 years, and I'm always going to keep my door open to anybody that wants to get in
Mm.
this industry, learn about it, and learn. So I'm a very busy person when it comes to Hey Vaughn, what's going on? What can I learn next? Or hey, I want to do this in my career. What can I do next? Hey,
Mm.
we'll talk. We'll have conversations. So
Wow. Well, that's like so cool. So, what are your But no, it's beautiful how you could like people poured into you, and now you're pouring into other people.
yeah,
People, right? Because everything is like now people see like it's possible, right? Because sometimes if you don't see someone like you doing it, you're like it's in your head. You almost think like, oh, is it even possible? But like the fact that you got on stage, you're the guy you mentor. Is like it's possible now. So I think that that's just beautiful and like general. And so what would you say are your next big goals, your next big like milestones for like this year and like the coming years? Like what's like the because I know you said your main thing is like you're just in like dad mode pretty much, which is like amazing, right? But outside of that, is there anything else in like the cyber tech? Is there like a next mountain in this like industry you're planning to climb, or it's like straight just chilling out, family vibes now?
um, I am family vibing right now. My
Yeah.
kids are at that age where they're about to head off to high school, on to college and
Yeah.
stuff. But at the same time, I'm still growing. I'm still
Right.
writing articles. I'm still working on my book right now. But
Mm,
it's more of just continuous growth and maturity for me in this space to be a vessel for other people, um,
mm,
to continue to mentor, and just work in spaces where I can help other people. I've had my
right.
career, had a great career, and now it's time to watch the next generation to elevate.
Wow. No,
So,
that's so cool. And the book. You're saying you're working on a book.
mm.
What? How long have you been working on it? What type of book is it? How is the process?
It is, and this is a very interesting thing, is that through my years through corporate America, I've watched companies shy away from cybersecurity. And
Mm,
I'll just give you the title. The title of my book is called "Nobody Believes in the Boogeyman Anymore." Um, it's because companies that just don't see the value in investing in cybersecurity anymore, they're backing away from
mm,
it, and they're cutting valuable resources. They're not looking for the best people no more. And it's not even about buying the most advanced technology, but being
mm,
able to protect yourselves using certain said technologies. They're shying away from. They're cutting corners. They're lying, doing all this stuff. I've seen the shady side of the business now, and now
mm,
it's time to face this reality that this boogeyman does exist. Um,
mm,
I've seen him. I looked him in the face several times, and now companies have adopted this position like, well, it hasn't happened to me yet. So, um, and what's happened is that the position that companies used to have in the boardrooms, they lost. And now your budget's being dictated by a person who doesn't even know what cybersecurity is. He just knows it's a cost item,
mm.
and they're slashing budgets and not really taking it serious anymore. And with the emergence of AI, yeah, the game has changed. Um, if
Yeah.
you have to pop check, get in line because it's coming. And it's if you noticed in the news, the breaches are happening more and more every day. More companies are
Yeah.
being breached. And that was the point. The book is a wake up call. It's a wake up
Mm,
call to the direction the companies decided to go into.
right.
Um, he even talks about how companies had leaned on insurance for a while. Oh, I
Mm,
got cyber insurance. I'm not worried about it. Okay, you got cyber insurance, but are you being resilient and doing the things that are required to get your claim? Because I know
right.
people in the insurance space that now saying, "Oh, we're gonna run this audit now. We're
Mm,
gonna see if you did what you said you did on these audits because you're
right.
lying." Companies are lying about, "Oh yeah, we did this." Yeah, so it's like the game has changed, man.
Yeah.
So that's where we are, and that's why I
Yeah.
did the book.
Mm. Yeah, that's very much so needed because I hear this story like so often. Like as you're saying, the company say, "Oh, I'm never going to be attacked." Then they're attacked, and it's like, "Oh, what? We didn't plan for this. How did we?" It's like we told you like 5 years ago. Like, when did you think it was going to happen?
Yeah,
I hear this story like so often. So it's beautiful that you're bringing it to light. And is this going to be your first book?
it's my first book. It's my
Wow,
first
that's
book. And I think I said it's for me and my experience over years evolving and seeing companies that ramped up in security, and I like, yeah, we don't need all that stuff, and it's like, okay, you know You don't believe in the devil, but he's gonna be at your door one day. And what you gonna do? You know, and I've seen it. I've seen companies that shied away from it, that took an alternative, approach to it, and then you see the CEO or now the CISO looking for new jobs.
Wow.
Because they pretty much got burned.
Yeah.
Um, and that, when I do talk to companies and I do consult, I'm like, you don't want to be in that position.
Mm.
You don't want to be in that. You don't want to put yourself in that position. And whether they listen to me or not, um, it has to be told. You know, and I think that's kind of where we are.
Right. Yeah, and speaking about like speaking to companies, right? So your CISO path, right? What is the trajectory of that? Is it just like you do like 10 years in cyber and then you're like this pop up out as a you're like a CISO, or is it like a utter? What is the journey, or what is the path?
Well, my journey, I always had the mindset of I'm going to be the CISO one day. I'm going to be top level for a company. And as I mentioned before, I took a step back in my career because the trajectory was going too high, and I had to slow down. But I've always had the skills. I've always had the experience to do the work. And now it's like companies that I work with, that I'll step in and be the CISO because I have my own consulting company. So in some
Mm,
aspects, I step in and I would be the CISO for them. Case in point, there's a company I was working with that brings products to market, AI products, and I want to be there to help him develop. Make sure he's compliance. Different agencies and stuff like that, and bring his product to market. I can step in for a CISO for companies that have been breached. Because pretty much they done fired everybody. So now it's time to help them get out of this mess and build
mm,
back up. And I had the opportunity to see and do this back in the day. So now I can do these type of things. I understand business and the different aspects of capex and how you work your opex, and I understand these. Trust me, the degrees are there, the knowledge is there. It's just something that I'm just doing now because it's all this experience I have. Why not?
you might as well, yeah.
Yeah. It's just I have the flexibility if I want to step back, step forward as need be.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, and so so this is something you've probably seen a lot more than me, right? But you're saying that you've kind of seen like the the not so good part of this industry, right? So when there are like politics or like things in the back room that shouldn't be done, right? How do you like deal with that, or how do you maneuver around that?
whew, this is another reason why I love BIC so much.
Mm,
There's always going to be some politics going on,
mm,
what industry you work in. And when I talk to people and come to the big village that, have gotten to a certain point in their career, it's like they got stonewalled. Or,
mm,
it's like they're fighting and jockeying for a position or trying to grow. And it's always somebody just kind of like putting that forearm,
mm,
and they just can't understand it. Now, for me, I'm like, I do. So it's like being able to talk through the behind the scene politics, being able to help them understand of what's really going on. Um, that man, just to fighting to belong, right? Fighting to be um, a part of something that really doesn't love you, to be honest. Um, we talked about Molox when we started.
yeah,
Molox is my middle finger to corporate America.
yeah, I
It
probably agree with
was like I always tried to assimilate. I
that.
always, if you seen some of my previous pictures on my LinkedIn page, I wore a low cut. I'm talking about almost shaven,
Mm,
um, suited up, working in operations, suited up every day because I knew I
mm,
had to go into some kind of meeting and talk about the night before and that kind of thing. And no matter how hard I pushed, no matter how hard I fought, there was always that forearm against the door, you know.
mm,
And it took me a while to understand why. So it was kind of like okay. And once I did understood why, I knew how I had to move and navigate from that point on.
mm,
And to be able to be in that village and talk to people at that point in their career and understand they're going through the same follies, it now I can offer something to them.
Right.
Not just getting into the industry, but thriving and moving around
Mm,
uh, and surviving.
mm.
That's a key.
This is so good. It's so good, bro. It's so good. But have you met Carmisha yet?
I'm not sure. I may have. I'm great with faces. I'm bad with names. Be honest, at my age.
She's the black woman in cyber. I had like a interview with her like 2 episodes ago. I got to link you with her because hearing you talk and hearing her talk is like I feel a similar vibe hearing both of you
Yeah.
talk. But yeah, you gotta link. But no, it's beautiful that even though you kind of seen that forearm or that door being blocked to push, at least you could help other people get through the door that you came through. You know, so that's like the beautiful part um, of it. And so, what would you say in your career? What would you say it probably is the or a two-pronged question, like one of the hardest parts of your career, and also something you did really good in your career?
Man, I think I did really good as carving myself out as an expert in incident response. I dug into it, and when I knew that I could leave corporate America and do my own work for other companies, I knew I had really developed myself into a great person in this incident response. That's why a lot of my
Mm,
talks that I did all over was on incident response,
I
um,
got it.
developing an incident response plan and implementing it, and being able to pivot when things go crazy. Um,
Mm,
I got really good at that. Uh, the real hard part was that when I realized that no matter how good I was or how strong I became for the company, there was a certain door that would never open,
mm,
and that was a that was a hard one because as human beings we know that we work hard and that someday we're going to get that reward or something, but when there's other aspects that just you can't control, um,
mm,
that you may not see now what's going on behind the scenes, but later on you see, you go, man, that's crazy. After all I've done type thing, or all, and it's just always going to be there.
mm,
And those things is just, it stays with you. And,
mm,
it's just, you take the good with the bad, and I know that what I developed over the years of myself, the product I am, that I'm proud of that. But at the same time, it's like I've been trying to fight these beasts that I just not ever going to beat. So it's like now I take with that part and I try to develop other people to either, like you said, that door is closed and kick another door down. Those type
mm,
of things.
okay,
That's kind of where I'm at now.
mm. And yeah, it's beautiful to like build like a be a like a subject matter expert in like a niche because as you said, like if you did all your talks with that, you're the guy for
Mhm.
that like thing. So yeah, I think it's definitely much easier to build like a business once your brand and talks are based upon this like one thing, and then you could grow from that. And the other part you were saying, like, it's annoying because like when that glass ceiling or that door hits, it's like damn, you kind of want to keep going. But the beautiful part is it sounds like you kind of like created your own thing, right? You created your own thing and you're helping other people. So that's kind of like the way around that in a sense, which is beautiful to see, because it say after the rain is like a like rainbow. So
Mhm.
like you can at least like nourish other people so they could like take the torch as far as they can, which is an amazing thing.
What's crazy was that I knew that I had the skills and ability to do my own thing early on in my career because like I would have colleagues from other companies who would call me and ask me questions. And I'm
Yeah.
open book. So hey, do XYZ. Oh, great, thanks. The phone ring again. Hey, I got this. And I'm like, shouldn't I be getting paid for this? So I knew I had the skills and capability to do my own thing. So I decided, you know what, man, let me break off and do my own thing. And
Mm,
that's when I knew starting my own consulting company would, be lucrative and more flexible. And
mm,
Lord, it worked out.
mm.
I
Oh,
have no problem working for the big corporates. But the consulting thing was the one that gave me my life and my freedom.
wow. No, that's amazing. And so on your consultant and entrepreneur journey, what's been one thing that kind of surprised you? Like when you were going into it, like what's the one thing that you like, oh, I never thought I would have to like, what's one thing that kind of surprised you on that journey?
That how people are more receptive when they actually hire you as a consultant to bring you in, rather
Huh.
than you sitting in the office working there. And you may have the knowledge, they just don't trust you. If you,
Oh,
yeah,
that's interesting.
you
It's really
know,
interesting.
literally, I can be sitting in this office giving you all these ideas and solutions. You just looking at me, shaking your head. But if you're paying me to be there,
Right.
like much more than what you're paying me to be an employee,
Yeah.
now I got your ear. Now I can turn those gears a little better. So to me, it was a power move for me because even if I could sit here and scream in this dude's ear all day long at work, he ain't listening to me. I'm
Right.
just an employee. But you're paying me all this money to come in to be a consultant to help you out, straighten things out. Yeah, you're gonna listen to me. You're gonna make changes.
That's that's so fascinating because I feel like that's like something that goes deeper into like human nature. Because there's a Bible quote. It goes, I'm not sure the exact quote, but it says like a prophet is never praised in like the country or the town he was born in, pretty much, right? And usually people have to like travel away to be appreciated and respected. And the same thing with a company. It's like that's your home, right? And if that's your
Right.
home, it's like everyone. It's like whatever, right? Like you work here every day, right? But if someone from another country comes, it's like, oh my God, they're so brilliant, they're so smart, and it's like that's something deep in like the human psyche.
Yes.
That's like fun to like think about. Yeah, that's deep.
As it's unique, but and it's crazy, but it's true. It's just it's amazing how they're more receptive to when they seek you out and they're not paying for your consultant services to where you're sitting in the office as an employee
Mm,
because they're gonna overlook you every day anyway. So
mm, right. Oh, another question I wanted to ask you earlier when you were speaking about your children and your son with the tech stuff. So I said, who you see now in this AI era, right? How do you think, or when do you think parents should like introduce technology to their children? Because especially with AI now and the internet, the internet was like wild. It was been wild, right? But then we have AI on top of the internet, which is even more wild, right? So how do you think parents, or just adults in general, should like facilitate like a child, or when should they introduce a child like to all this technological stuff?
so give you a great example. I am kind of opposed to my kids having social media and all that. They don't even deal with that. But using AI is not about just going to AI, asking and getting an answer, and then go do your homework. No, no, no. It's how do you utilize AI to study. So one of the
Mm,
things that I teach my kids to use, I don't know if you heard of Notebook LM.
I
Notebook
have
LM,
actually. I saw that. Yeah.
that is a very powerful study tool where you can grab all of these resources, whether it's a website, a PDF, or whatever, and you can put it in, just one site, and it can produce to you like quizzes, um, flashcards,
I gotta get on it.
synop-
Yeah, I gotta get on
a video. My
it.
my daughter, she's studying now, about animals and stuff, part of her science class. So we grabbed all the resources and it produced for her a synopsis of the resources. It gave her a quiz to go over this information, and it produced a video for her. And
I need that.
man, that's the kind of thing I'm introducing my kids to as far as AI, not just going to
Yeah.
ChatGPT and asking who's president, type stuff.
Right.
But you're not learning, you know.
Right.
And like I tell my kids, AI is only good as the database. And then they
Mm,
said, "What do you mean, Dad?" I was like, "Well, if I sit here and I throw out to the world that Donald Duck is president, eventually one of those big language models is going to pick it up and they're going to do a query and say, who's president of the United States? It's going to say Donald Duck because
mm,
that's what it produces, what's out there. So you have
right.
to be careful about what it's giving you, make sure it's accurate type of thing. And it's kind
Mm,
of like, in a sense, it's dumbing down the people if you're not really doing your own research.
right. No, like I definitely, yeah. It's as you said, it's how you use it, right? Because this is a tool, right? Like everything else, but it's like how you use the tool. So I'm glad that you're like teaching them in a way that's like actually making them smarter, and not just
Yeah,
like kind of like yeah. So no, that's really really cool, and I definitely got to check out Notebook one because I'm taking like tons of certifications right now, so I definitely need that. That's really cool. And yeah, so we're about to close. but also wanted you to give you time so you could share all of the like resources, your books, your talks, your conferences, business, like anything you're doing, social media, just like share with the people so they can stay in touch with you.
Funny story. Like my son tell people at school, Google my daddy. There's a lot of my talks out there.
Yeah.
Uh, you just go Google me. You'll see a lot of my talks I did on instant response. One of the talks I did a lot was is when IT hits the fan, stick to the plan. That was one I did a lot. The big ones I did this year was at B-Sides. I focused on my 3-part talk. I had a 3-part series talk on AI, and like you'll see a lot of those talks that are out there on YouTube. Um, I have a couple articles I've put out there on LinkedIn. My book's coming out this year. Look for that. Nobody believes in the boogeyman anymore. We're talking about how companies are backing away from not instant response, but infosec and not investing like they used to. And just keep looking because my presence now is more and more. I'm on the stage a lot this year. I announce my talks a lot on LinkedIn. I've done 5 already this year.
Wow.
Yeah, I've done 5. I was at B-Sides, Layer 8 in Boston. I've done some with InfoGuard here in DEF CON. I had 2. So I'm busy. I'm always going to be out there and I'm talking. Because like I said, I'm gaining more, I'm learning more, and my presence will be out there more. So definitely look for me.
That's amazing. He's like, Google me, bro. Just Google me, bro. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. This was like, it makes me proud, honestly. Just like being in big, it just makes me proud to see because we're like a huge like extended family. So hearing about like the origin story of it was like amazing. But no, thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy, and we'll see you next time.
Shout out to BIC for all they do. Shout out to Michaela for starting this thing, and we're gonna keep it going. So, all right, thank you for having me.